Today I want to talk to you about being a victim. In this day and age, we've all been taught to be a victim. You're probably thinking, well, that's pretty extreme. Well, hear me out. All through school, we get punished for doing the wrong things. We get graded for doing the wrong answers or getting the wrong answers, not knowing the answers. We are constantly being judged and being graded and being scored and being reprimanded for all kinds of things, mostly just for not knowing the answer or being wrong about something. And we're constantly being put into a victim scenario. And I think we've all gotten a little bit too used to that. And now, in today's day and age, we've got the news making everybody feel like you're some kind of a victim to other people's words and things like that. And it's gotten way too out of control. And here's the problem with always holding a victim mindset. When we get this ingrained into our mind that we are living as a victim, most people don't realize that that is how they're living. I didn't realize it for a long time, and you probably don't even realize it right now, that you're going through your days feeling like a victim. And I kind of compare it to like a leaf blowing in the wind. Doesn't matter what happens around you, it's always like somebody's coming at you, you know? Like there's always some kind of a confrontation. Somebody says some things and it hurts your feelings. Somebody does something and it offends you. You know? It doesn't matter if it's like bill collectors or somebody at the grocery store. Confrontation will always find you to make you reaffirm being a victim. And looking back, it's so brutal to really see all the scenarios that were brought on by me having this mindset without realizing I had this mindset. And you can test yourself right now, you know. Can somebody walk up to you and say something rude or stupid, like a complete stranger, and have you not react? Could you sit back and actually feel nothing because it's a total stranger and they don't know you anything and you don't know them anything and their opinion really doesn't matter? Are you confident enough in being you that what somebody else says will not victimize you? Because that's a key. I think a lot of people are going through the world right now just waiting for somebody to say something that victimizes them so they can lash out. We are being so brainwashed to get in confrontations, to lash out, to have to prove our worth, to have to stand up for ourselves. And it's like, true standing up for yourself means just being confident in who you are and your beliefs and your values, that you don't have to push them on anybody else. Other people are free to have their opinions. They're free to say and do what they want around them. And it's not going to rattle your cage. We are so brainwashed to act like a bunch of victims. And I'm here to tell you right now that you can throw that shit out the window. Just no more victim mindset. Step into a new mindset. There's one I call the healing mindset. I'll let you know when my book's done. Goes into all this stuff. But let's start talking about it now. It's a heavy feeling. You know, you get that. It's ingrained in you. It's like, you know, it's like if a kid, every time they did something, you smack them on the head. Eventually, every time they see anything even remotely close to what they did or even think about doing those things, they're going to feel that pain without it even happening. That's how things get ingrained in our mind. You know, you even think about having the wrong answer or think about making a mistake, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, you're being punished. You're being mentally punished. You're being tortured mentally, and you can feel it physically. You know, that's the way your brain is wiring right now. And you have to reaffirm to yourself that it is okay to make a mistake, because mistakes are not wrong. That might sound really weird to say, but mistakes are not wrong. They are learning steps, and everybody has to make them. You know, every great invention was 99% mistakes, because you don't know what works until you try it all of those different ways before you find the way that does work. Allowing yourself that grace and that space to make mistakes and to feel good about it. So you can try and exercise right now, because I had a lot of trouble owning up to my mistakes, because I was just petrified of making mistakes. I was just, I couldn't, it was just so awful, but an awful feeling of making mistakes or not knowing something, because I got made fun of for not knowing answers. Probably happened to you too, you know, not knowing something or not being able to do something well, and then people make fun of you, and then you get that feeling of like, oh, I don't even want to try then, if it just means people are just gonna, you know, taunt me and yell at me and make fun of me, and why even try? So I'm trying the exercise, and you can try this too, of just saying the words, I don't know. Let me look into that. Or, I'm not sure. Let me check. Or, I did not know that. That's very interesting. You know, sometimes those words can feel like they can just get stuck in your throat, like you can't even say them. Because maybe as a kid you had somebody say, like, what do you mean you don't know? You should know this. You should know that by now. It's like, I've even said that to my daughter, and I feel awful about it. I've just completely, after I said it, I was like, oh, when you say, you know, you should know this, or you should know better, you should know that by now. It's like, no, we gotta leave space to learn. We have to leave space to make mistakes. I swear, we grew up in a generation that anybody else, like, you know, from the 80s, where, you know, you get into the school system and it's like, you are not allowed to make mistakes. You are expected to do certain things, and that is that. So try that exercise of just saying, I don't know, or I'm not sure, let me check. I don't know, let me look into that. Or if you've actually genuinely made a mistake, just say, oh, oops, I made that mistake. See how you feel after. Because I don't think anything bad's going to happen. No one's going to jump around from the side of the door and smack you. At least they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. Most of the time, it's just you punishing yourself. So I want you to liberate yourself from that feeling of self-punishment, that feeling of I'm bad, because you're not. You're really good. Forgive everyone. Forgive yourself. Forgive. Liberate yourself from this energetic bond. Because as long as you keep thinking about scenarios where you've been victimized, you will keep attracting those scenarios into your life. Whether it's injury, sickness, theft, whatever it is, rudeness from people, whatever it is, you will keep bringing that in, because the law of attraction is real, that you attract whatever you think of the most with emotion. And if your emotions are running high with these types of thoughts, you will just keep bringing in more scenarios that keep proving to you that you are a victim. It keeps reiterating that back to you. It just mirrors everything back to you over and over, you know? So to step into a healing mindset, to start telling yourself, I am healing, I am growing, I forgive everyone in my life, it can take a little bit of time to let all of the forgiveness take place. But you start to live from a place of love instead of a place of hate and fear. Victims live in a place of fear and hate. Hate to say it, but it's true. If you're living in a victim mindset, you are fearful of the world, and you hate a lot of people. You're fearful of them. You think you might think that you're living like, oh no, I have faith, I love all these things. But honestly, deep down, you can't live in full faith and be fearful at the same time. As soon as you step into fear, you have let go of faith. And this one was hard for me to really step into as well, because I had so many fears. And I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize it was fear that was taking hold, because people say, well, anxiety is real. It's like, well, yeah, anxiety is fear. When you're feeling anxiety, you're fearful of something that has happened, something that hasn't happened. You know, you're fearful of your past coming back and reliving that. Either you're reliving it in your mind. You're fearful of a future that is terrible, and you're feeling anxious about it. You're thinking of things that haven't happened, that you're afraid of happening, and you're living like they are happening. That means you have no faith that anything good is going to happen to you, or anything good is going to come. That means you don't have faith that everything's going to work out. You have fear that it's not. Because you can't have both at the same time. Can't have faith and still be living in fear. To have 100% faith is to let go of all fears. To live in 100% love is to forgive everything and everyone, no matter how horrible the circumstances. And when it comes to trauma, forgiveness is the big step of letting that go. Seeing it for what it is and forgiving. And again, especially your parents, especially yourself. Whatever happened, forgiving and letting go. Because holding grudges makes you sick. Holding grudges makes you have physical pain. And every time you think of that grudge, it can cause physical pain in your body. And then you might think, oh no, I have a disease. Because this pain just comes and goes so sporadically, and I don't understand why. I've worked with people with CRPS and fibromyalgia and just random chronic pain that didn't have a diagnosis, but it's the same thing of just pain showing up whenever it wants to and leaving whenever it wants to. But it's 100% connected to your mental state and what you are thinking of. What were you thinking last night before you went to bed, before you ruminated all night with these horrible thoughts, and then the next day you manifested a situation to reiterate back to you what you thought about all night, and then you move back into pain. You are living as a victim to your past memories, a victim to your present, because you are living in fear, you are living in hate, and you're living as a victim. You're probably thinking, that's really harsh. It's like, well, I was there. I understand it. It takes one to know one. You know, we don't think of it in these forms of just being victimized because, you know, as cushy as our world has been, it hasn't really helped anyone overcome these things that run in your mind. That doesn't help anybody, you know? Just saying that everything you think is justified, everything you think is real, everything you think is right. It's like everything you think comes true, so watch it. If something keeps coming up, address it and let it go into its fullest form, because just saying that, you know, oh, I'm sad for no reason, or I'm anxious for no reason, it's never for no reason. It's never for no reason. You're living out of alignment. And that's another thing. When you're living as a victim, a lot of the times you're afraid to even try in life because you're afraid of that failure aspect again. But when you're truly aligned with your real purpose, you will feel lit up. But again, living as a victim. If you're used to somebody doing everything for you growing up, that's another way that a victim mentality can take hold, is if you are used to never having to do anything for yourself. That's a slippery slope, because the parts of your brain that need to develop from being faced with challenges and having, that willpower grow and being able to problem solve in the face of adversity, and because just taking care of ourselves and taking care of our home, that in itself involves some problem solving and some willpower. So if you are not having to do anything, everything else in life might seem pretty hard. So if that's where you're sitting right now, take a good long hard look at the things around you and say, okay, today is the day I'm going to step out of being in victim mindset, and I'm going to step into taking my life with a healing mindset. I'm going to step into that mindset of learning and being okay with making mistakes. I'm okay with learning and going slow. I'm okay with learning and doing things one tiny step at a time. I'm okay of unlearning what I think I know. So right now you can tell yourself, and begin today, I will no longer be a victim to everything and everyone around me. This doesn't mean barking down everyone's throats, standing up for yourself and trying to prove everybody else wrong. This means owning who you are, being okay with learning, being happy about making mistakes because now you know how to move forward. No perfectionism, no being a victim. You are free to move forward, being a curious child, no longer a victim to anyone's punishment, including your own. Let it go. Be free. Say this now. I let go of being a victim. I step now into a healing mindset, for I am curious and I am happy to learn. I am happy to unlearn, and everyone around me is my teacher, for the world around me mirrors everything in my heart and in my mind. Bring this together. Become curious. Be okay. You don't have to be a victim. You are now free.